It's August 6th. Do you know who's in your bullpen? Because if you're a Twins fan, probably not. But it's okay. We're here to help, but not before you get locked on Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hello again, and welcome back to Locked On Twins. I'm your host, Brandon Warne. I am joined by Mr. Dave Brown. And again, we bring you every single day Locked On Twins. We appreciate you making us your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. And, of course, as part of the Locked On Podcast Network, we're your team every day. Love to hear from our everydayers. So if you're listening to us every chance you get, feel free to let us know in the comments. 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening are also huge. We try to hang out in the comments on YouTube, especially because you are the reason this show exists, and we greatly appreciate that. I'm Brandon Warne, though, like I said, a 30-year watcher of the Twins who's covered them for half that long. He's Dave Brown, BBWAA member, and Joe Mauer, Hall of Fame voter. Dave, how we doing?
We're getting used to the new normal, Brandon.
Yeah.
The Twins having basically 1.5 relief pitchers that we trust to hold the lead. But that's not what's important anymore. They've cashed in 2029. Well, hopefully not 2025. That's been cashed in, though.
The new normal, Illinois. By the way, you can find my work at the Access Twins newsletter as well, and Dave on Zone Coverage Pitcher List. Just pitcher, right?
Just pitcher. The singular.
Okay, so just like there's only one out there. Anyway, on today's episode, we are going to discuss everything you need to know about the Twins' new normal, because it still seems to be tripping people up. We are now 5 games into the new era of Twins baseball. Twins 2-3, I believe. So not entirely dissimilar to what they were doing before, but there's a lot of things different in each game that people might not quite be grasping. Though, first, this episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com, and you'll get 50% off your first year. Dave, first thing I want to talk about is roster construction. Anytime you have a massive shift change of 40% of your workforce, roster construction immediately changes, and it's just foundational. And I guess foundational is kind of funny with construction, but they're going to be cycling in and out with some of these young guys. Alan Roden getting the first look in the outfield ahead of James Outman. I'm sure there's reasons for that. We've heard about service time. We've heard about a lot of different things, but it's going to be basically a filter of guys coming up to see what they can do in this last 2 months. Now Luke Keishel's back. So it is, for as much as like we're lamenting all the guys who are gone, we're going to get a look at some guys we were eagerly waiting to see in Keischel and some talented youngsters. It's not as gutted, I think, as maybe we've been led to believe, nationally speaking.
Well, some of the issues there are still, especially with the pitchers, injury issues. Mm-hmm. So the entire cast of characters, as we know it, aren't quite available yet. And also some guys are kind of stuck in between, people like Taj Bradley and Mick Abel, and who, I think very quickly we could see come at some point in August and September for a whole bunch of starts. So it's just a matter of Falvey and Zoll and Rocco wanting to get a look at certain people. I think that's why, at least this is my rationalization, why like Mickey Gasper's still here. I think they're probably long-term are going to be some guys who are not on the roster right now who are going to be more with the team in the long run. But I think they just want to make sure with Mickey Gasper that that he's going to get this one more chance and without being shuttled back and forth, and see if he can hit. And then if he can't, well, maybe he should get used to St. Paul for the rest of his life.
Well, and I guess I was a little surprised that Kriske was the one that was sent down for Keishel, not due to their lack of like positional overlap, but because like that was their backup center fielder. It's
right, and that's with Austin Martin starting.
Right, yeah,
it's the backup center fielder, and we've seen Austin Martin play some center field, and I don't know if that is if that's going to be the long term
destination.
But he did well enough in the minors that you want to give him a chance more than just a few games to play out there. He doesn't seem like an infielder to me. He doesn't seem like a right fielder to me. Maybe like a left fielder.
Yeah.
But there's only so many reps he can get if he's just a left fielder. So he's going to try and prove that he's center field viable. So Kriske had kind of a long run there for a while and didn't really show a lot. So, I understand why people might wonder, well, why is this guy here? Why is that guy here? But they've kind of got to get out of the headspace of, well, how are they going to catch the Guardians? Or, how are they going to, stay in the race? That's not the point right now. The point right now is to kind of like an extended spring training to see, what you have with some of these guys, to make sure that, because like as fans no doubt have also seen, there's some guys in the minor leagues, really good prospects, who are really starting to turn it on. And at some point, they're going to be the Austin Martins and the Deshaun Kerseys of tomorrow. I would suspect better results and certainly with higher expectations. So we're just going to ride it out a little bit right now with Austin in center field and Mickey's still on the roster. And, there's lots of other individuals that we'll talk about. But just think of it as Fort Myers North right now kind of situation.
Well, in the unique position, excuse me, they find themselves in is that you can allow guys to not experiment, but find out what they're capable of. And you couldn't do that on a team that was built around Carlos Correa, Byron Buxton, Royce Lewis to some extent, but like a team built to contend in the Central that wasn't doing it. I mean, the bigger issue is if you're playing your best guys and you're losing, you're not winning and you're not developing. You're not doing either. And it's almost impossible to do both. Some good teams, though, they can bring along a guy that hits ninth and plays left field or whatever. You know what I mean? Like if the Tigers had a really super prospect who played left field, like let's say Riley Green a few years ago, they could fit him in there and then you could develop him while still winning. But the Twins needed that wholesale change, and to do it and now commit to it, there's no half measures. You can't spend some time. Like people are wondering, well, why aren't they doing this to maybe win this game? Now it's 100% development and exploration, and they'll win some games along the way. And if they win more games than they expected along the way, the plan can be tweaked as far as, if you're up 2-0 in the ninth and, maybe you go to Justin Topa for a second straight day to try to get the W or something. But for now, it's just, full steam ahead as North Fort Myers. And it's going to be, I made the point and I stand by it. It's more fun to watch a mediocre team with no expectations than a mediocre team with even reasonable, let alone high expectations. We're not watching a better baseball team. We're watching a more entertaining baseball team for sure.
A more entertaining situation. I mean, I think it was, some people have pointed this out on Twitter too. It was difficult to a certain extent to watch what the Twins were doing when the games, we kind of thought that they mattered when it was.
We were hoping they mattered.
We were hoping they mattered and hoping that they would stay in the playoff hunt. This is a little different in that, well, we can kind of take that pressure off, or at least we try to. Sometimes you see people going on and on about how can they bring this guy into pitch right now with the lead? Right. Well, I mean, if you look at the depth of the bullpen, Cole Sands has got to get two guys out or one or two innings somewhere. It's probably not always going to be the ninth inning. Right. And there's still a couple other pitchers that are going to have to pitch in high leverage if the team is fortunate enough to have a lead. So they're going to run on the guys really quick in that sense with who they have on the roster right now. So that's just something that we're going to have to get used to. And it's a little frustrating. You want to take the Tigers down a peg, or you want to take the Guardians down a peg when you're playing them. So, even though we know that the games don't matter like they did before, you still kind of want to beat those guys in the AL Central, especially. So I understand why, and people are still in shock over what happened, and I don't think that's unreasonable to be that way with the amount of moves they made.
And it's quite a turn from you could almost, and people would joke about it, script the bullpen usage for that day, and now it's literally all right. Who's here? Who let's try to figure it out. It's going to be fun, and we're going to actually dive into that more here in the second segment, because really the bullpen is where all the volatility is. Most of the volatility is. So we'll talk about that. You guys available who could potentially be interesting, and more guys coming. But first, a quick word. Today's episode is brought to you by Gameday Hue. And so this hat right here that you see, and the hat that Dave is wearing as well, they are from Gameday Hue. For Twins fans, Vikings fans, you name it, fans like all of us, they hit the mark. Gameday Hue makes clean, no logo gear with team-inspired colorways for every pro and college fan base. It's all about letting your colors speak for you. No giant logos, just smart, versatile style that works on game day, on the golf course, and everywhere in between. Again, I wear mine. I'm probably a little too old to wear mine backwards, but I still do it when I'm out, just kicking around, picking up the kids from activities, or even just hanging out in the yard, watching them jump on the trampoline, and people walk by and, whoa, where'd you get that hat from? And it's surprising. Because of how nondescript it is, like there's not a lot of defining characteristics.
It doesn't describe much.
Yeah, you feel like you would blend in, but actually people think they're pretty cool, and I've definitely told a handful of people where to get them. And also, my neighbors last night, we were at National Night Out, we're talking about going golfing. Golf gloves. Gameday Hue has those too. It's not just hats. They've got their split shade gloves made for the course, or they are the perfect gift for the fan who already has everything else. Right now, you can get 15% off with MLB15 as your code at GamedayHue.com. That's GamedayHue.com. Again, MLB15 for your promo code. That code even stacks on bundle deals. So now is the perfect time to load up. Let your colors talk, because colors speak louder than words. That's GamedayHue.com, code MLB15. All right, Lockdown Twins back here for another roll, and we're talking about the bullpen. I have written on our format bullpen WTF. That is short for why the face, because people are making funny faces when different guys come out of the bullpen gate than they're used to. I'm going to just throw a wild thought into this mix. I would claim Jorge Alcala. I really would. I mean, really, like, he would have the best stuff. You're going to do it at the expense of who? Like, yeah, Erasmo Ramirez is a long-tenured big leaguer, has a lot of respect in the clubhouse, and he probably wouldn't even be the guy. Like, but with that said, there's nobody where I'm like, I can't kick this guy off my bullpen to go get a look at Alcala again. Or I'm not kidding you, I would sign Ryan Pressly. And it would be funny because bringing Alcala and Pressly back into the mix after trading Duran in that whole 2018 trade deadline where they traded Pressly and then got back Duran in one trade and Alcala in another. To me, the irony can't be lost on you. Like, that's just kind of baseball for you. It's a very insular industry. But honestly, at this point, I'm all about trying anything. They've already claimed, let's see if I can remember all these, Thomas Hatch, Brooks Kriske. They had Noah Davis before the deadline, but they've moved him around a bit. He's gotten hit pretty hard. They claimed one other guy. Why am I not remembering? But it goes to show basically that the bullpen and the flux that it's in. I can honestly say I've watched every minute of every game that Twins.tv has had this year. So to lay down my credentials, like I know what's happened this year. I still get a little bit like, I don't know who's going to pitch this inning, or I don't know how many of the guys in the bullpen I can name, frankly. It's Topa, Sands, Tonkin, Ramirez, Funderburk, Hatch, and Ole. And I must be missing somebody because I thought they had another claim that maybe I'm thinking of.
You're thinking, well, where did Kriske go? Did they?
He hasn't been activated, so that's why he's not on there. Then he'll be activated today, and that will be your 26th guy. McCacken, we hardly knew you. Hatch, yeah, Kriske. Basically, Gleeman said it best. If you are on waivers and a reliever and the Twins don't claim you, is it really worth trying to keep playing because they're about as desperate as it gets?
The only thing about signing Alcala that would give me pause, maybe not the only thing, would be like, no, Pete Mackey has other people that he needs to work with. We can't constantly be working on your amazing stuff that somehow gets hit around.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. A couple of things in the plan, in your thoughts in the plan. They have a couple guys, Vesta and SWR, who aren't going to be on the injured list forever. Mm-hmm. And so, that sort of moves Travis Adams around a little bit, and presumably.
Well, he looked good the other day. He looked real good.
He did. What was that? Was that did they unlock something, or did that just happen?
It was hysterical because I tweeted this, but Corey was telling him how great he was, and he had the biggest like Gary Busey smile on his face, and he was like absolutely beaming. And it was pretty cool to see because there hasn't been a lot to smile about with Twins baseball for quite a while now. So that was pretty awesome to see. And Corey wasn't even just like, he wasn't blowing smoke or anything. It was mostly just like, yeah, you got a lot of swings and misses. And boy, I tell you, you could tell he was so excited.
Well, I'm excited for him. This is a person who has saved a man from a burning house in Florida. So, I mean, that isn't really the first thing that you should hang your hat on when you're trying to.
The fireman hat?
What fireman kind of.
Well, do you know the story of someone saved like Michael Kadire from 9/11 or something like that?
Michael
Kadire saved
from 9/11.
I think Michael Kadire hit a homer in a minor league game that kept like Brad Thomas from being on a flight. It was like there was a Twins connection in 9/11 where it kept a guy from being on one of the flights. So it is always wild to hear when like big leaguers who we already know for the things they do on the field having real world implications or like things that they do affecting the real world, because I think that in a lot of ways we feel distant from them in the sense of what they contribute to society. So I have nothing but love and respect for Travis Adams, and hopefully the Twins give him a chance to build on that. And I think they will, but
I think we feel disconnected from what we do for society too. So we can relate on that standpoint. But so whenever I get not upset, but whenever I start to wonder, why is it that you're here again on the roster? It's like, all right, well, Travis Adams saved a guy's life, so let's give him just a little more slack here. But that was a pretty amazing, unexpected performance. Now, hopefully he can repeat it, but I guess
against the Tigers, no less. Against the Tigers, that should not be lost on people too.
That's true. Even though they are in the Tigers, maybe are in a little bit of a lull overall right now. I think maybe they played above their heads a little bit, which some people warned us about that maybe that was true.
Shocker.
But Adams' role, I think, going forward, I mean, that's a guy. You talk about bringing Alcala in, having Adams around, I would rather give those opportunities to him. Now, Alcala, it's just like, what can they do with him? And it hasn't just been this year, I mean, he's had this thing where sometimes it looks like his stuff is amazing and it just doesn't translate into games. That's not just this year that's happened, but he's still, how old is he? He's not even that old. So I think
he's 30. Like I think he's just turned 30 or he's almost 30, but it's not like so they've claimed Thomas Hatch, they've claimed who's just about 31. He'll be 31 in the end of September. And then Brooks Kriske is 31 and a half. So they're not in the business of necessarily stocking up on guys who have long futures ahead of them. It's more.
No, but there is something about how when relievers reach that age that they sort of get it, and they have their, they have enough experience under their belt that they figure out how to use their stuff and make it play, and not err on the side of, I'm just going to throw this because I have good stuff. There's more purpose behind what they throw. It's true. Some examples that I can't really think of off the top of my head. Dylan Floro comes to mind. Thomas Hatch was the Royals, not minor league pitcher of the month, but the AAA pitcher of the month in July. So I saw him walk through the Royals clubhouse, and I'm like, that guy looks familiar. I think I've seen him somewhere before. And it was a guy, Thomas Hatch, who was on the Blue Jays, and then he was gone like after one game. So
one appearance, 2 runs, and that was it.
Right. So something to consider is, having Festa coming back soon, and Pablo will be back at some point, I would imagine. But and SWR, that will sort of shift where the opportunities will come for Adams, maybe more in the bullpen going forward, just based on that. And then there's guys like Abel. I don't know what Misevich's issue is as far as his shoulder impingement, but Taj Bradley's going to come up. Marco Raya is probably still a little too inconsistent to rely on. John Klein has been really good and has been promoted.
Louis the Sixth.
Yes,
we should call him Louis the Sixth. That would be actually not very nice, but funny. It's I think interesting with Hatch too is he was starting for Kansas City in the minors, so he does have some length too. Which again, they're going to find value in if you get 5 from Bailey Ober and 3 from Erasmo Ramirez, and then Cole Sands closes it out, or Justin Topa. That's maybe as clean as it's going to get with this team right now.
So it's gonna make for a lot of if we take these games at face value, it's going to seem sort of like a roller coaster, and you're going to give yourself an ulcer maybe. So just remember, it's experimentation time. Where imagine Mackey and Rocco wearing white lab coats, and Beaker and Bunsen Honeydew working on the next few outs for the Twins, rather than necessarily just trying to win a game. It's a little different.
What's the that's right, the team where everything is made up and the points don't matter. It's the old Drew Carey bit from Whose Line Is It Anyway? Well, I want to come back for our final segment, talk just a little bit about these new pitchers, because they do have enough big league experience where we can kind of see what they're all about. And then also too, they're handling hitters a little bit differently too. But again, our final break here, and then when we come back, we'll get into that. If you're like me, you wish managing your money felt easier, and with Monarch Money, it sure can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch is more, though, than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. It's like multiple apps in one, where you can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you are also building wealth. Again, you are going to find out a lot about your spending habits that you didn't already know, especially if you're like me. Did you spend a whole lot of money on your vacation that maybe you didn't realize, or you've been loading up on that food delivery because you've been so busy and haven't had time to go to the grocery store? You will find out a lot of different insights you were not aware of. And you'll have all your accounts and spending in one place. It is the one-stop shop to get your house in order financially. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. All right, we're rolling along here. Final segment, final few minutes of Locked On Twins. We appreciate you joining us, and thank you for making us your first listen every day. By the way, make sure you are also subscribed to us so you can get the postcast. We have some great Twins content with Luke Inman and friends live after every single game. So yeah, Luke Inman and friends. You'll get CJ Baumgartner. You'll get Theo Tollefson, and I'm trying to think of who else there is. Oh, Sweet Lou Hennessy. There is a few. It sounds like I'm describing like the old gang in like a Mark Twain book or something. Sweet Lou Hennessy and all these guys. But it's tremendous stuff. It's a good supplement to what we have. You get 2 shows for the price of one, which is free. But Dave, let's talk about Thomas Hatch first. Decent velocity, 94, 95, and throws a cutter. He's basically fastball, cutter, sinker, and then he'll mix in a changeup. So to me, unless you're Lance Lynn, that's kind of an unusual starting pitcher repertoire, and maybe he is better suited for the bullpen. Numbers don't jump off the screen at you in terms of strikeouts or anything at AAA Omaha. Sorry, I had my Midwest.
Yeah, get your Great Plains Midwest states correct.
But he did not allow us. Nope, bad at this. He allowed 9 home runs. He had no intentional walks, which who cares? I thought he had no homers allowed in 91 2/3 innings, and I was gonna be like, wow, that's maybe why you're pitching so well. But he can get some grounders. Maybe there's something there. It's the old Greg bit, former first rounder. Maybe something there. He's a 3rd rounder though. But between him and Kriske, I don't know. I mean, we might see them the rest of the season in big roles, and we might see them for one
year
day
for a week.
Yeah, well, 1 day 0 appearances like they're Darren McCacken. So, anything about these guys that you want to share? Not particularly.
Not really. I told you my Thomas Hatch anecdote. I saw him in the hallway at Kansas City, and the next day he was gone. So,
kiss of death, Dave Brown.
Yeah, really. And Bo, don't call me Bo Brisky. David Kriske. What's it? I don't even know his first name.
David Riske. No, it's Brooks Kriske.
David Riske. I remember David Riske. I'm like, that's a funny name for a relief pitcher. Bringing in David Riske.
Riske and Grant Balfour and Bob Walk. All these fun guys.
And just going back to Alcala here, it's do you want to do that to Pete Mackey? I know this is his job, but like, oh, you're back, are you, Mr. Alcala? And it's just gonna stretch him thin a little bit.
It's like they have a stare down at dusk across the horizon, and you hear like the boom boom boom. I can't. I mean, it's the world famous like sound for when something sends like a bone chilling whatever through.
Yeah, and then it's like a salsa commercial.
Yeah,
you get a text, and it's just about salsa. But I'm intrigued a little bit. Pearson O has had a couple of good innings.
His changeup is really good.
That made me interested a little bit. Thomas Hatch has, like he's got some. I want to see give Funderburk some run, but Funderburk was good a couple years ago as a lefty, and then that kind of disappeared.
I think because he's a lefty, he's probably safe for a longer bit than we would expect, at least until Misevich. And Misevich almost felt like it was you're hurt, wink, wink. We don't want to lose you, but we think you might not clear weight. I don't know. That's my tinfoil hat.
I mean, it wouldn't, surprise me if there is if that is really kind of how it works, because there's subterfuge going on. There have been, I've mentioned this before, but like, not that Byron Buxton's situation wasn't serious, but when Buxton was dealing with his cousin's death, the amount of time that he was gone, let's just say, was gained a little bit by a day or two. Yeah. In the name of competition. So, well, and the Twins, it wouldn't surprise me that, oh, your shoulder's hurting a little bit. Yeah, but it's fine now. But no, it was hurting before, right? So maybe we should just stretch that out a little bit, literally and figuratively, Anthony.
It's preferable to getting waived. Yeah, it's a sin of omission versus a sin of commission, and you can do a little of both. Yeah, so we'll see. I agree, though. Funderburk, tough night last night, only threw one pitch. So we'll see how it goes. They got a chance, though, to take 2 or 3 from Detroit ahead of, I think, KC's coming into town. And I don't know. I have this kind of anxious, nervous energy about watching this team. that I haven't had in a long time. A good anxious, nervous energy. Very quickly before we go, though, you're going to see more guys facing left on left. Twins had their first game with 3 left on left hits this season on it was one of the games in the first series out of the deadline. Trying to remember which one. But you're going to see more left on left. You're going to see more of guys getting opportunities. Matt Wallner hitting second. He's hitting 217 or whatever, but just absolutely annihilating the baseball over the last week plus. It's going to get kooky. It's going to get creative. And if you're going to complain about the lineups, I tell you what, your energy will be better spent elsewhere. You think that's fair to say?
I suppose. It's, look at what has happened. I think they sort of hope it happens for Larnach, but Wallner, at least for a while, was going through a period where he had recovered his ability to hit lefties and then kind of forgot to hit.
He was
righties.
Solid.
Yeah. So, but it's important for these guys to not be what's a politically correct phrase? Completely useless against left-handed pitching. It's helpful. Maybe it's not an ideal. Yeah. It's not an ideal situation, but you want to be able to give them some at-bats against lefties and not the left-handed hitters and not have it be completely a waste of time and a lost cause. So that's why you want to work on this a little bit to keep them sharp.
And there have been a couple Gasper at-bats that have looked helpless, and he wasn't hitting left on left. Well, that's all we got for right now. Thank you for making Locked On Twins your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new MLB Game Night, Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on the national scale and find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB or on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. He's Dave Brown. I'm Brandon Warne saying thank you so much. Hope to see you tomorrow night.
Keyshaw.